Bad. Welcome in, guys. So happy to see y'all. We're going to get started in just a few. Thank you for coming in on time. I appreciate it. But we're going to get started in just a moment. Get started in just a second. I'm double checking that everything is set up the way it needs to be and that I can see what I need to click on and all those other good things. I need to, whoops. What is happening? Oh. Okay. I think I got almost everything figured out. 2 more seconds and we will start. Okay, I think we're all good. Hey, sunflowers, and welcome to another episode of BPD Squared Live. Thank you again for being here with me tonight. So, excuse me. So I want to apologize in advance. I think I'm trying to get a cold, but I don't want to claim it because I don't want to get sick. But I definitely have something going on with my throat or whatever. So if I sound a little scratchy or coughing or whatever, I just want to get that out of the way. I apologize in advance. Anyway, so yes, as you guys saw on the title screen, we are going to be discussing the favorite person tonight. And so to get started, I want to play a clip from a video that I put out a couple years ago called How to Get Over Your Favorite Person. So I'm going to let myself take it away and we'll get into tonight's topic.
Things have to be kind of cut and dry for me. You have Things have to be kind of cut and dry for me. You have to give me just a yes or no. I cannot just kind of assume. Things can't be left up to assumption for me because unfortunately the way my brain works, I always assume the worst. So getting that answer, after a while, I felt myself starting to get obsessive over it. And, it turned from, should I say this, should I say that, questioning myself, questioning my husband, going to write about it on the blog, coming here to record this video, talking to other people about it. It was starting to turn into an obsessive behavior. And that was another thing she mentioned. Don't open that door to start yourself obsessing over trying to get something out of this.
Oh my God, thank you so much. I've been saying all this stuff all this time. Thank goodness. Thank you for letting me know. Sorry. Sorry, guys. Well, first of all, I had asked. No, I left my microphone on mute because I wanted to make sure I wasn't making any noise while the video was playing. But I was trying to ask, first of all, if you guys could see the video. And if you couldn't see it, at least if you're able to hear it, that's fine. But I'm just going into the main points now. So you didn't really miss much. But thank you for letting me know. Sorry about that, y'all. So anyway, rewind. So I was saying first, after that too, I was saying that this particular video, how to get over your favorite person, has reached over 11K views on YouTube. So I am extremely grateful for that. And I thank every single person who has watched the video, commented on the video, shared the video. Thank you all for all types of engagement on that. That is awesome and amazing. And I'm glad I could put out something that was okay. And I'm glad I was able to provide something that gave you guys some, something to pull from, I guess, or something that was helpful. That's fine. Welcome on in. And you're right on time. It's fine. We're just getting started. And I'm fine with that. As long as you could hear what I was saying, I think it's fine. As long as you could hear it, because it's just my face. You already know what my face looks like. But basically, I was also saying that in that particular clip that I played with you guys, for you guys, is that the favorite person relationship has many facets to it. And one of the facets that you could come across is what I was describing, which is obsession into the relationship. We will go into depth about that later on, but that's just one, like I said, one of the many things that you can come across if you happen to be a favorite person or if you have a favorite person relationship. So the favorite person relationship is one that is held in a high regard, but can just as easily be made into the worst relationship ever. So again, we're going to go deeper into what the FP is, or a favorite person is, how that relationship comes about, and as well as how to tell if you could possibly be the favorite person in your relationship. Excuse me. And I also want to make it known that this is based on, not based on, but the favorite person relationship is something that more commonly comes up in the in the BPD spectrum, but it is something that can be experienced amongst regular people and throughout other mental diagnoses. Also, as we spoke about before, BPD does have requirements in order to be diagnosed. However, you do not have to have a favorite person relationship in order to be considered along the BPD spectrum. So I just wanted to make that kind of clear, because we do talk a lot about the symptoms that come along with borderline personality, and eventually we will transition into content about bipolar disorder as well, but so far we talk mostly about the symptoms that come with it. So this is just one thing that comes from, let's put it like this: the favorite person relationship is a result of the symptoms, but it is not a symptom, if that makes sense. Welcome in, Chris. I'm so glad to see you. Well, I'm glad you're here. Welcome in. So that part's out the way. So of course, as usual, I like to first introduce myself to anybody who may be watching and is new to this channel, has never seen my face before, doesn't know what I do or what I'm about. Hey, my name is Brenda and this is BPD Squared. So I started BPD Squared after receiving a dual diagnosis of borderline personality disorder and bipolar disorder. And after being diagnosed, I basically searched for a way to connect with others that were basically experiencing the same things I was going through. I wanted to find a community, basically. So I created this platform to hopefully share my experiences with other people who happen to have BPD, who happen to have bipolar, or just people within the mental health spectrum in general. I just wanted to be able to have a space where I could convene with people. With that being said, I'm going to transition over. Y'all let me know if y'all can see this screen, because for some reason it doesn't want to show what I'm actually trying to put out there. Okay, there we go. Now it's showing it. Hey, it's my brother. Welcome in, sir. Thank you for coming to the wonder that is BPD Squared. Anyway, I'm all over the place, y'all. I'm sorry. I told you I'm a little delirious today. I don't feel good. So anyway, so with that being said, guys, like I said, I started this channel to build community and to get to know people in this space and in this realm, to get a better understanding of not only myself, but of the whole aspect of mental health as it is. But with that being said, okay, good. But with that being said, I do want to make it clear that BPD Squared is a mental health advocacy and a community. And with this platform, my plan is to educate and raise awareness for various topics that pertain to mental health and mental illness, respectively. However, I want to make it clear I'm not a medical professional, licensed or otherwise, so I cannot give any therapeutic advice, nor can I counsel anyone. But what I can do, and also I can't diagnose anyone. I cannot diagnose anyone. I want to make that very clear. So, what I can and will do on this channel is I will share my experiences, I will share my research, and I will share the lessons that I've learned along the way. Also though, however, if you or a loved one is experiencing any kind of mental health crisis or needs a bit more assistance in trying to navigate life and figure out what's going on as you go through day to day, definitely check out these resources that I have linked in my flower box down below. There's a page on my website that has all of these listed and direct links to their websites, and also to chat lines and text lines if you are not comfortable actually doing a phone call with people. So they have various ways for you to be able to get in touch with them, as well as you can see, there are various organizations that cater to different needs. So if you are a part of the LGBTQIA community, if you're deaf, hard of hearing, if you're a Spanish speaker, if you're a veteran, or anything along those lines, anything that you feel specifically pertains to you, there is an organization that can help you out, as well as you will find on my website a database so that you can find local help. Basically, you can find help within your area if that has been a concern for you. So definitely, when it gets to that, please look in the description box and check out those resources. And it's also good to look into it, in my opinion, because I have, like I said, the database is there. So not only are you looking into ways to get in touch with someone for your help, but you're also given resources to learn more about the various topics that we cover here on this channel as well. So let us move further. Oh, wait. And one last thing. What I say here on this channel is, first and foremost, and let me switch this over. What I say on this channel is first and foremost my experience, or the experience that has been documented by other people who lived it. So based on research, basically. So when it comes to what we talk about as far as symptoms, or as far as common things that you might see across the board with different diagnosis and on that spectrum, take it as an example, but don't take it as a rule, because just because we have commonalities across the board within that diagnostic realm does not mean that every person will present the same. So again, it's something to take as an example, but don't take it as a definitive answer of what you'll expect to see for everybody in that realm, because it might not be the same for every single person. So yeah, now that that's clear, excuse me. Ooh, child. Now that's clear, let's get into tonight's topic and let's answer the question as I switch my screen over. What is a favorite person? So this term, favorite person, is mostly used amongst people who have BPD. As I stated earlier, it's mostly used because of the dynamic that comes by it. So as we've discussed in previous lives and discussed in general, that BPD comes with very severe emotional swings. So the favorite person is basically who we depend on for emotional regulation, stability. It's a person that we reach out to help us navigate ourselves and give us that sense of belonging and feeling like we make sense in the world. And so the relationship, though, does stem from that person being seen, though, as this amazing individual who can do no wrong. And for lack of a better term, they are idolized. Like, they're put on this high pedestal that whatever they do, whatever they say, however they move, everything is gold and crisp and wonderful. They can't do no wrong. There's no way that anything that they say or do could be taken wrong in any fashion. So in so many words, we see them as a savior. It can go that far. So yeah, they, forgive me. Like I said, I'm trying to catch up to my own brain. I don't feel good, but we gonna make it work. In our next slide, I have to keep pressing this button. They're a paragon. Yes. I had to remind myself what paragon meant. Yes. So according to an article that I found on choosingtherapy.com, they give an explanation of what the relationship actually looks like from a technical scientific standpoint. The relationship often appears to be very close and intense. The individual with BPD can become quickly dependent on their favorite person for reassurance, approval, and guidance. Because relationships generally feel unstable and untrustworthy for people with BPD, they may have a hard time when faced with healthy relationship limits. They often struggle with being alone, but even appropriate love and connection might not feel like enough. Therefore, they may read into certain behaviors. They might become jealous or controlling of the relationship. They might also start pushing away or testing their favorite person to prove the person's loyalty and love. And to piggyback off of this article as well, I personally am not sure of the exact moments I made someone an FP, but I know I've had at least 3 or 4 throughout my life. Well, 3 or 4 that I can think of. But like I said, I don't know the exact moment in when that person became an FP, but I know that they were an FP. And it was mainly, I know the relationship started because I started to see that they were giving me validation, and I guess because they were just interested in me in general, like they paid me attention. So most of my relationships started because of that, because of the attention. And also I do know that a lot of my FP relationships also started after high school, where I mentioned previously, I was and all that. I was abused. So when I know for sure that most of those relationships started after that fact, because I was searching for someone to basically make me whole again. I needed someone to basically reinstate the feeling of security, because with that happening and for so many years and for so much invalidation to go along with it, I desperately needed someone to bring that stability back, that security back, because I was ultimately abandoned. I was totally abandoned, basically. Ooh, that face. You're giving me the face. But yeah, so this is, in my opinion, how those relationships kind of start. They see this person as someone who has a general interest in them, and who, gives them this reassurance, this security, this feeling of this sense of importance, and that we matter. And so that person, we end up latching onto them because we don't want to lose it. Basically, we want to continuously feel that, because again, like I mentioned before, when it has been taken from you and you feel like you don't know how to get it back, if somebody is willingly giving it to you, that's the best feeling in the world, and you want nothing more than to hold on to those good feelings. But the problem, though, becomes I'll say we, because it's general speak, and I've heard other people speak on this as well. We tend to basically overdo it, and it gets overbearing. It honestly does, because what goes from a healthy complementary relationship can become obsessive. So say you are the person who has BPD, or you know of a person who has BPD and is kind of suffering in this way. How do you know, if you are the person with BPD, that you might have a favorite person? So here's a few signs of how you can tell you have a favorite person. So the first point is you need attention, specifically their attention. You're constantly seeking for this person to bring you happiness, reassurance, comfort, acknowledgement, validation. Sometimes you just want to be in their presence. You just need to know what they're doing. You need them to know what you're doing. Every minute of every day, you just want to know, are we still cool, basically? And you want to just get everything from them that you can at every moment, because they are the reason why you feel you exist sometimes. I know it's very strong, but that's real. It's reality. So yes, one of the first signs is that you're constantly seeking their specific attention in any form and fashion. Then another sign is that you would get jealous seeing them engage in other relationships or even other activities, mainly because seeing them talk to other people in the same capacity that they speak to you puts you in that mindset of, oh, they're choosing this person over me, or oh, maybe I did something and now they're looking for somebody else and they're replacing me, type of thing. Basically seeing them engage with anybody else in any capacity makes you uncomfortable because you have that fear of abandonment, and seeing them engage makes you feel as if they're going to leave. The next point, they live in this fantasy world in your mind. So, like I mentioned earlier, they are placed on this extremely high standard to where you feel like everything they do is angelic. Everything they do is the wisest thing you've ever heard, the smartest thing you've ever seen. Just anything and everything that they do is held in the highest regard. It's like Pulitzer Prize, Nobel Prize winning material every time they are a part of your space, right? So, but we have to also see the people as people. But when it comes to that, they're not really seen as people. They're these larger than life entities that just exist in this realm of, oh my God, amazement. And finally, oh no, not finally, I'm sorry. Next point, you're eager to please these people. So whatever you accomplish might not matter much if you are not getting that acknowledgement from your FP. If your FP doesn't seem impressed, you don't feel like your efforts were worth much. Their approval makes or breaks you, and you feel you have to be acknowledged in any way. You have to know that they approve or they care in general. And another way that you're trying to please them as well is you live in a way that mimics what they do, or you're taking interest in things that they're interested in. So for example, I was with this guy way back when, like high school, and he was in martial arts. And now I've never done anything like that in my life, right? Like, I was told I could have been a good natural athlete, but I would never know. But, my whole life was music. And so, I got with this guy, and then leaving out of high school, it's like, okay, I know that that's your life. I'm going to try to jump into it as well and see what it's like, because I'm like so into him, or into this guy, and so into his life. I didn't know what I wanted to do in my own life, but because he was so interested in this, it's like, yeah, I'm gonna get into this too. I'm gonna jump into this world, and I'm gonna make it a part of me, because that seems like cool, but I also want you to see that I'm taking a vested interest in what you like. But we will so that in itself isn't a bad thing, but we will get into how that crosses into a problem area later on. And finally, the last point, you swing between hot and cold. So, we've mentioned splitting on this channel several times. And it has, it to me is one of the strongest examples of, splitting to me shows itself the strongest when it's a part of the FP, when it comes to the FP relationship. Because if you recall, splitting in itself is seeing the world in black or white, seeing the world hot, cold, different ends of the spectrum, polar opposites of each other. And with the FP relationship, there's, like I said, this high praised angelic being that can do no wrong and is the most amazing thing that ever lived, or they do one small thing to deviate from what you believe them to be, and then they end up becoming the worst possible human being that ever existed. So excuse me, y'all, and drink some water. Whew. Like I say, we gonna make it. My throat is bothering me, but we gonna make it. Okay. Excuse me. So yes, as I was saying, as I was writing the script, actually, it became apparent to me that I recently had an FP. And it's funny because I didn't even realize this person was my FP until they made one particular comment, and it all just went, it was kaput after that. So this is a person that I was calling often for advice, comfort, reassurance, all the things that I've mentioned before. And, you know, them not answering the phone hurts because it's like, how do I figure out my life if you can't tell me what to do? You know, that's how I really felt a lot of times. It's like, I need you to help me guide myself. I don't know what to do, and you're my guidance. So basically every decision hinged on their words and hinged on their advice and their actions and things like that. Like, I even started doing certain hobbies and activities just to emulate more, like to be more like them and to express myself more in the way that they did, because they were just so influential to me in that way. But again, we had one conversation where there was one thing said, and I immediately shut down. I dissociated. It was like a switch went off, like that quick. I heard that comment, and immediately I was done. I was done. And I noticed that because I noticed myself not reaching out as much as I used to. And I'm like, wow, that really was that type of thing. That really was that kind of relationship. I'm grateful I recognize it now, because now I can go about, I guess, not repairing it or fixing it, but I guess I can go about the relationship in a more healthy mindset is what I want to say. Yeah. But yes, I didn't even realize that I was in the hot and cold phase of that relationship. Like, I was in the hot phase, and then all of a sudden it's, oh, heck no. This is who you are? Okay, bet, bye. And so just in that instant, it was over, just like that. So, like I said, we will talk about more of those. We'll talk more about those aspects of the FP relationship, the more toxic side of it, very shortly. But first, I want to get into how you can tell that you could be a favorite person in your relationship. And as we move on, I want to make sure that you guys are good and we're following everything okay. Am I being heard okay? Is what I'm saying making sense? And all that jazz. And also, I just need a second for my throat. So I'm gonna give y'all a second to send me a thumbs up or a sunflower to let me know that we're all good. Okay, I'm gonna just say no. I was about to say no news is good news. I don't like how familiar this sounds to my experience. Oh, wow. So, wait, well, if you're comfortable answering, are you the FP or are you the other person? Thank you, hon. Um, so, I'm gonna wait for you to answer that question, my love. And I'm gonna go ahead and move into the next portion, which is signs that you are the FP in the relationship. Forgive me, I'm kind of like reading and like I'm doing like this, trying to find everything. But anyway, so next point. If you happen to be a favorite person, or if you feel you might be a favorite person, you might feel going into the relationship admired and needed. And at first, this seems like a great situation because you're, like I said, put on this pedestal and you feel like, oh, this person really thinks highly of me. This person thinks I'm a great person, or, they really value me and they value my opinion and they care about what I'm doing and they want to know what I'm doing. And it's until it gets further into the relationship that you start to see how what looks like a genuine interest is, like I said before, kind of going into obsession. Again, we will get to that. But that's how you might feel in the beginning of the relationship. You might feel admired and needed. Sounds like the person who has other people as FP. Gotcha. The next point, you would be the first to know. And I should have put the word everything because that's pretty much true. No matter what the news is, no matter if it's a crisis at work or if it was, they saw something on the news or they bought a new pair of shoes, you're going to know because your opinion matters the most. So anytime anything happens, you're the first line of contact. So that could be an apparent sign right there, because you might even ask, have you told your mom, have you told your dad, have you told this person, that person? No, I ain't told. You're the first person I told. Keep that in mind if that might come up. So you might also be constantly offering reassurance. So the BPD person gets reassurance from this relationship, so they will often look to you to fulfill that need, again, because you are, and I don't want to say I'm using the word loosely, but I feel like it's a fair word to use because initially you're a value to this person. So your relationship is valuable and your opinion is valuable and your presence is valuable. So and again, it's also fueled off of that fear of abandonment and feeling as if I don't get this reassurance from this person, there's a possibility you will leave. So even with my husband, right, I will go to him sometimes and ask him the same questions I've been asking him since we've been together. And we've been together for 8 years, we've been married for 4. And but I'll still go to him sometimes and be like, hey, babe, how did you feel about this? Or, when did you first know this? And are you really sure about this, and this? And he'll be like, how do you not know this by now? And I'm like, I do know it, but it just comforts me to hear it often, not even often, but every now and then. Sometimes you want to hear it. You just need to you need to have it actually physically and auditorily given to you as a reminder, just to put my brain at ease. You know what I'm saying? Well, at least I'm speaking on my behalf. I need those auditory and physical reminders to be able to say, okay, it's still there. We're still good. Moving on. Because a lot of this stuff lives in my head, right? And unless there's something that can come in and deter those thoughts and make my brain refocus on something, it's like it's always going to circulate in there that there's doubt. So the reassurance is basically to help erase the doubt. So that's that. But just know that you're going to more than likely be the one. If you're the FP, you're going to always be asked to erase that doubt. And speaking of that, you feel that you have to take responsibility for their moods. Whenever a BPD person is in crisis, it may feel as if you have to step in and make adjustments for them or help them regulate their mood and how they're feeling, because we have made it very clear we can't do it on our own. And you might feel as if you have to be the one to put those things into perspective for this person, because they've already put you in that space that they depend on you so much to clarify that. Now you feel like, okay, when they do go through this, or you've heard that they went through something, you might feel it's your obligation to step in and make something happen. What does this say? Interesting. I don't think I've ever been an FP any more than a present friend in my relationships. I assume that is a good sign. It might be. Let me not say it. Why did I say it like that? It might be a good sign. No, that is a good sign. But as much as there's, problematic areas when it comes to a favorite person relationship, it's not an inherently bad relationship. But it's quite possible also, and we'll get to this point, the reason why you might not have experienced that is because you are very good at setting clear boundaries and expectations. So that's quite possibly why you might not have had that experience, because that's one of the things that has to be addressed in those relationships is the boundary and letting people know, okay, this is what you can and cannot do. And a lot of times when you first enter into those relationships, you don't have that boundary line. You're just trying to take as much as you can while you can. And it sounds really bad in that way, but it's not like, you're trying to, I don't know, siphon off their energy or something. It's just, if I can get it from you, and if it seems like it's allowed, even if you probably think better of it, but if it feels like it's an allowed thing, I'm gonna do it. You know what I mean? So, but like I said, it's probably because you're very good at setting your boundaries and what you ain't gonna deal with. So that's probably what that is. Okay, moving back to our points, and thank you for that comment. And finally, you include the BPD person in your decisions. So it's quite possible that when you make plans, you're considering how they not necessarily fit into that plan, but you have to figure out, it's kind of like you're figuring out, how am I going to tell you about it? And it's like, so say like you want to go out of town with a group of friends outside of who they know. So like, say this is like a group of friends you knew in college or whatever, and you all are getting together for a random 5-year reunion trip or something. And it's like, okay, I want to go off on this trip. But now you have to think, okay, well, let me tell this person that I'm getting ready to go out of town, and let me make sure that they're okay if I leave and how long I'm going to be gone and blah, 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 and let them know this, and this, and this, and this. So that is something to be considerate of if you feel like this person if you have to make this person aware of your itinerary, basically. So with all that, I hope this has made some sense. Let me know. Excuse me. Let me know in the comments if there's any questions or any concerns. And I'm going to take another second to drink some water and calm my throat because I feel a cough coming on. Thank y'all for bearing with me tonight. It's a struggle. But we almost done, y'all. Tonight's live is going to be shorter because, as you can hear, but and also it's pretty to the point in my opinion. So again, I hope that this message is coming through clear for everyone and it's making sense and answers any questions that you guys might have had. Of course, like I said before, leave any questions, of course, in the comments section if you're live with me today. And if you catch this on the replay, always leave your comments. I do my best to answer them as soon as I get them in. Okay, so moving on to our final points, and like I spoke about earlier, how do you know when the relationship, just copying the slides, what you trying to say? You calling me out? You calling me out? We telling people my secrets. Anyway, so when a relationship becomes toxic, we have to remind ourselves. I guess now I have to look up issues that mimic BPD to see what else lines up with this. I definitely think you should. You definitely should. I'm going to sidetrack real quick and we'll come back to this point because that's a very good point that you made. And this is something I came across when I started researching BPD myself, that BPD mimics so many other oh my bad, Chris. No, but excuse me. BPD mimics so many other um diagnoses that that's why they even say it takes a long time for the person to really be diagnosed with it, and how they can easily be misdiagnosed because of it, because it looks so similar to other things. So because a lot of it can mimic it mimics bipolar disorder, it mimics ADHD, and there are parts of BPD that are considered psychotic. So therefore there's parts where there's hallucination and dissociation. So yeah, it's definitely I would definitely encourage looking into that, because it can look like so many other things if you're not sure what to look for. So definitely, that's why I said I got those resources down below. Definitely check out NAMI's database and the other ones that I have, so you can look into that. I think it's very important you do that. Okay, it's difficult to differentiate this from infatuation, obsession, and jealousy because of the mimicry and similarities to typical emotions. Well, that's what we're getting into tonight. Well, what we're about to get into right now, actually, when it comes to, excuse me, oh, dang. When it comes to how to know when it's getting to that point. So when it becomes toxic, it can, like I said, it starts off in that way where it looks like infatuation. It looks like just something innocent and just high praise. But then when it crosses into obsession and other harmful behaviors, one of the ways you can kind of point it out is if you see that the person is threatening themselves, or issuing some type of threat at all, whether it be a harming threat, or like a monetary threat, or anything that they're putting out there that says, if you don't do this, I'm gonna do this. Look out for that. Look out for those threats. And I do want to say that, in my opinion, and a couple of other people that I've seen, they've said this as well, that that the BPD person, when they threaten harm, it's normally towards ourselves. I know for me, in my own rationale and how it makes sense to me, and I will say it makes sense to me. It don't make sense, but it makes sense to me in the moment, that if basically the threat is normally going to come as a threat to self versus a threat to other person. Because if I threaten the other person, I'm guaranteeing basically that I'm giving them a reason to leave me. I'm giving a legitimate reason to abandon me. So instead, I would rather harm myself and put that pain on myself. So I'd rather do the do and then tell you and show you the pain versus putting the pain onto you. Because, like I said, it doesn't make sense, but in my mind and in the moment, I would rather show you the pain physically on myself versus me trying to put that pain onto you, because then I'm guaranteeing a possibility of you leaving me. Like I said, it's weird how it works out, but that's how my brain operates. I'm working on it. And also, so as you mentioned, jealousy is a big part of it becoming toxic, because again, that ongoing fear of abandonment and codependency. And so with codependency, you're pouring so much of yourself into this person and into this relationship that, again, any deviation from that feels like not only are you losing that person, but you're losing a part of yourself. And so again, there may be harmful behaviors and threats to their safety and things like that, because it's like, or ultimatums, because you feel like if you're not spending time with me, you shouldn't be spending time with anybody else. That's how you know it gets into that toxic territory, because if it starts to become a problem for you to have outside relationships, that's something that needs to be addressed. And the obsession, same thing, is, like I said, codependency, self-harm. And then obsession, as you mentioned, also goes into that matter. Like I said, is where you're constantly trying to figure out, where is this person at? What are they doing? Who are they with? Who are they talking to? Why are they talking to them? Why have they been talking to them for this long? Do they care about them more than me? And are you looking for, and now you're looking for so many things, like you're going to their Snapchat, their Instagram, their Facebook, you're looking for any and every way to say, pay attention to me. And so that's what I mean by the obsessive part. And the final point is ignoring any other relationships that you might have and other obligations that you have. So if you have hobbies or activities, or just things you engage in, and if you're starting to get to a point where you're ignoring all those things just to make sure that you don't miss a moment with your FP, that is something that definitely needs to be addressed as well. Ugh. Okay, so I hope that kind of helped clear up some things a little bit. I hope. Excuse me, y'all. I'm so sorry. So, moving into our last topic, or our last chapter of this topic, how to keep the relationship healthy. So, like I said, as we've been talking, we talked about what the BPD FP is, how the relationship can come about, and signs that you have an FP or that you are the FP. And also we've covered how this relationship can get very toxic if you're not careful. So, and like I mentioned earlier, I forgot who I was answering. Oh yeah, I was answering Stuck on Earth. When it comes to the favorite person relationship, again, it isn't an inherently bad relationship. It's just, it can become that because of the fear and because of the obsession that comes behind it. So how you can stay a favorite person, or how you can have a healthy, how you can have a favorite person relationship and still keep it within healthy guidelines, is to first, especially if you are the person with BPD. So for those of you, or those of us who have BPD or have a favorite person, the first thing is to be able to identify if this relationship actually exists in this way. Label the situation. Find out, are you doing these things? Are there signs of you actually doing that? So again, going off of the signs that we mentioned earlier, paying attention to, are you giving all of your attention to this relationship? Does everything that you feel hinge on what this person has to say? Or does your life have to look like theirs? So I normally ask myself, when starting new relationships or getting to know certain people, and if I feel myself becoming infatuated with them, and it doesn't have to be romantic, infatuation can come in any form, but if I see myself becoming infatuated, I have to ask myself, okay, how do I really see this person? And what did they make me feel a certain way to see them as this at this point? And finally, have they expressed any feelings towards me that might influence how I feel about them? So those are 3 things that I ask myself when it comes to new relationships and the infatuation stage. How do I see this person? How do they make me feel? And did they express any specific feelings towards me to influence how I see them at this particular point? Next thing is, it goes for both sides, but make sure you have other friends and other activities outside of this one particular relationship. It has to be understood that one person cannot fulfill your every need. They can't. because you both differ in some kind of way. You both have different perceptions on certain things. You both live a certain way. And, you're different people, period. So you cannot always expect that particular person to always be able to fulfill every single aspect or every single facet of what you necessarily need as far as your emotional fulfillment. Find other hobbies. So, like me, if I'm not talking to my friends and if I'm not like researching content or doing anything like that, if I feel like I just, I don't really have anybody to speak to or whatever, what do? I watch Michael Jackson and I play The Sims. That's what I do. If I don't have anything else to do, that's how I occupy my time. And so, if you are that person who is engaged in a FP relationship and you are looking for somebody to fulfill that, really you got to make that person you, but we'll get to that in a minute. But yeah, find other people and find other activities that you can engage in so that way you're not feeling as if your whole world hinges on one person. And finally, something I had to learn. Learn to accept the word no. Learn to be okay with being let down. And I don't mean be okay with being let down as in somebody's intentionally trying to hurt your feelings. But what I mean is try to relinquish the expectation that comes behind the FP. Relinquish expectations of them. Allow them to tell you no. Allow them to exist in a realm where they're not perfect and exist in a realm where they're not always the best at every single thing that they say and do. Give them room to be a mess, basically. And again, allow them to give you the option of no, give you the answer of no. This also puts into question, a lot of times I feel like when we have FP, we're not considering their time and we're not considering their life and things that they have going on. It's, I need you accessible to me when I need you accessible to me. But we're not putting in perspective that they don't always have the option to be accessible. They have to live their life as well. So learn how to accept no. Keep in mind that they have a life outside of you and that things come up. Emergencies happen. If they may have kids or a dog or they have a job or they have stuff going on, the family, whatever may happen, things come up. And we have to allow those people, we have to allow them to exist in that space where they can tell us no. So that is if you are the person with BPD. Now, if you are the person who is the FP, again, going back to the same point, and again, a lot of these points are gonna cross, but it's important to be said specifically to you. If you happen to be the FP in the relationship, again, practice saying no and start saying it early on. Make sure that your boundaries are clear and that the consequences of crossing those boundaries are clear. The sooner you make your boundaries known and the sooner you are implementing what you disapprove of, the easier the relationship will go, especially if they feel that the loyalty of the relationship is challenged. Well, they can't really pull that because the point has already been made. This is what I don't accept. This is what I will not tolerate in our relationship. For me, the last thing I want to do is directly go against my favorite person's wishes anyway, because again, I don't want to do anything that's going to push them away or force them out or make them feel as if they, or that I'm deliberately trying to hurt them, because the last thing I want to be is deliberately hurt. So, like one of my friends, my best friend, one of their triggers is they don't like being called stupid. So the last thing I would ever say to them is that they're stupid, right? So that's the thing. Letting people know what you expect of them in the relationship. Yeah, I know. Asking people what they expect of them, telling people what you expect from them in this relationship really is going to go a long way. So make it very clear and very plain what you accept and what you don't, and practice saying no and stand firm on it. Don't allow them to use threats and ultimatums to get you to change your mind to do what they want to do. It might be a little hard, but that's something that needs to be addressed early. The second point, don't lie. It makes it so much easier on yourself if you just don't lie. And I don't mean like, this just giving them false information about stuff, but I mean, if you feel that there's anything going on where you have to negate from the truth with this person because you're afraid of how they react emotionally, that needs to be addressed right away. If you feel that you can't have, not an opinion, but if you feel that you can't have existence outside of the relationship, and if you feel that anything you may say to this person can result in a direct outburst or trouble or anything like that, definitely take a moment to address that. And that leads me to my final point. Have outside support, not only just an outside friend group. You might even need a support group. I've mentioned before that, you can look on Facebook or other places to find people who are in the same position as you. I would even venture as far as to go into like specific forums for the mental illness itself, like BPD forums, because people talk about the favorite person in these forums a lot. So it might be beneficial if you're that person to look into those forums or those groups of people so that you can get a better perspective and see how they're, navigating and how you can get help. So not just friend groups, not just support groups, but definitely I would suggest reaching out to a medical professional, to a therapist, if you feel that the relationship is crossing into that threatening territory, because you don't want to put yourself in a position to be in harm's way or feel like you might trigger harm to come to that person. So if you are in a position where you're feeling as if you are struggling to have these conversations and you're struggling to assert yourself in the relationship and you feel overwhelmed, and you saying no or you making these adjustments could potentially cause some kind of harm, physical or otherwise, definitely reach out to a medical professional, get their advice, ask them what's the best way to go about dealing with this. How do you address it in a healthy and safe way? So I think that's it. Hold on, I'm thinking. Oh, and another point on that, like I was saying, this is not medical advice, but from my personal perspective and what I've gone through, do your best, especially when it starts to seem like you need to get an outside support system. Try your best, in my personal experiences, my personal perspective, try your best not to tell that person, the BPD person, you need help. Because for me, and when I was told that, I felt dismissed, and I felt dismissed. I felt unheard, and it was like, okay, but if I need help, that's why I came to you. You know what I mean? It's like I said, it's very dismissive when you tell somebody, especially if you see that they're in crisis and you see that they're coming to you for a point of, I'm trying to figure out what to do. Try your best not to diminish them by saying you need help. Yeah, we know. We know. But is a way to go about saying it. But I would suggest if you truly feel that this person is in that space where they really need help, oh, good. I'm glad. Thanks. These are helpful tips in general. Yay. Thanks. Um, but no, I feel if it's crossing, like I said, crossing to that territory where you feel like they would need to seek outside help, or if you're starting to feel like they really need help, you might have to be, if you're, taking that part of the relationship, if you want to be responsible in that way in the relationship, you might have to reach out to someone in the medical field to say, hey, this is what I'm going through, this is what I'm dealing with. And you might not even have to really speak to anyone. Like I said, these the resources that I provide to you guys, they give a lot of information explaining these different things, and even give you information on how to go about addressing the situation if you feel it's crossing into that dangerous territory. So definitely check out the articles I have linked below, as well as look into the databases and the other resources that I've provided to give you a little bit more insight on how you can approach this if you feel like this person does require outside assistance. But guys, that is the end of our live stream as far as our topics are concerned. Let me read this real quick. How can you sincerely advise them that they need help if you're not equipped to handle their problems? Yeah, so that's why I was saying, how can you sincerely advise that they need help if you're not equipped to handle their problems? Sincerely, like I said, you might have to take it upon yourself to reach out to someone first. If you feel that you do not have the verbal capacity to be able to address them in that way, that's why I said you might have to reach out to a medical professional yourself. You might have to be the person to be responsible for getting that advice first and then passing it on. However, if you are pretty secure in the relationship where you feel that you can offer this kind of advice, or you can offer that kind of solution to that problem, I definitely say open that door to them. Again, that's where the boundaries come in, and that's where you are telling them, hey, when I say this to you, this is a matter of me wanting to give you help. This is not me criticizing you. This is not me feeling as if you're not worthy of being heard, but I feel that this is something that goes beyond what I can do for you. So why don't we, and you might have to plural it, why don't we look into finding someone to help you out? Or are you seeing a therapist right now? Or have you been speaking to a medical professional about these things? And you kind of can go from there. There's a leading question. So I guess the easiest way to answer that is, if you are not equipped to handle the problem, you might have to go and seek the outside help first and present it to the person. Or if you do feel you can bring it up, but you still don't, have the advice, you can just let them know, hey, how about we look into this? Or have you been seeing a therapist? Or is there anybody else that you talk to about this? So that could be something that I go into on another live or on another video. I'm going to write that down, actually. That's a good point. Hold on one second. I'm going to write that down. But outside of that and me writing this stuff down, I truly 100% appreciate everybody being here tonight and dealing with me in my delirium. Because, child, I don't know what's happening. But, as you see on screen, of course, I'm pointing at this screen over here. As you see on screen, we have our merch on sale. So if you definitely want to support us as a community, if you want to see this channel grow, help us fund our research and help us to, excuse me, help families in need, definitely look in the description box, the flower box below. There are links to our store as well as ways that you can donate to help us to achieve these various goals that we have on this channel. Speaking of goals, and I'm gonna switch over. No, I'm not. I'm gonna keep it on this. I'm gonna switch to the resources page though. That's what I am gonna do. So again, the resources are available in the description, in the flower box below, as well as here on screen, if you just wanted to see what was there. Excuse me, y'all. I'm sorry. Whew. I just got to get under the bed and bundle up so hard in the covers right now. Anyway, so I do want to point out that we have crossed the threshold of 700 subscribers. And so as I'm extremely grateful for that, we're on the road to 1,000 subscribers, guys. So as much as you possibly can, like this video, comment on this video, share this video, and any other content that I may have put out that you feel is pertinent for other people to hear, or if you really feel like what I said tonight is worth a listen to yourself and other people, definitely I will. Definitely subscribe. And again, my brain's all over the place. Again, like, comment, subscribe, and share the video if you feel that there are more people out here who need to hear what we're talking about here on these lives. I want to see more of you guys coming in. I appreciate that I have my return audience. I love this. I love convening with y'all, and it's amazing to, just really have this back and forth with you guys and, share all this stuff. You know what I'm trying to say. Basically, I'm trying to say thank you. And that I appreciate every single one of y'all. I am, and I will, cause child, I'm gonna be honest, this live almost didn't happen tonight, but I was like, no, I'm gonna get on here and I'm gonna put this out because I was excited and I want to keep this going. Like, we're on a roll and we have great information that I feel we're sharing great information with everyone, and that we're putting out something important in my opinion. So I want to keep this going regardless if I'm sick or not. I mean, eventually I'll just get in bed, but regardless, I appreciate every single one of y'all for being here tonight. I know I've said that 37 times. I'm so sorry. Is there anything else that I need to say to you guys? I'm trying to see that I mentioned everything I needed to mention. Yeah, check out all the articles that I've used to do research is in the description box, as well as my other video, how to get over your favorite person, that is linked below as well. Of course, all merch and other resources are linked, as well as ways that you can donate if you'd like to support the channel. And yeah, that's about it. So I'll be better next week, guys. But as usual, and I was told I had to do this or else there would be problems. As usual, I love you and stay square, sunflowers. And I love you guys so much. Mwah, mwah, mwah. I'll see y'all next week. Bye.